Okay, so gonna put this out there because it needs to be said. I've spoken about it on other things, but we're gonna do this straight up. The truth about Abrahamic religions, and this is a fact. So we have these things called grays. I've spoken about them before. So let's get down and dirty about the grays. The grays were. Now I'm going to speak about them in past tense because as of March 21st, 2026, besides the 3 that are hooked up to life support that are in Roswell, it's only for them to duplicate what's in their bodies because their souls have moved on. So there are no more soul beings on the moon. There are no more soul elite beings. So what I'm talking about is, so you got to understand this is not this timeline. So when people speak of these grays coming back as in being us, they are not technically us, but they are technically us. Because you've watched Back to the Future, we've got another timeline going, and we're now this timeline because of the Abrahamic religions, because they didn't exist in theirs. So what happens is these elite beings in their timeline created the mega projects and were trying to control the world, couldn't control the permaculturists, so they inadvertently, with their mega projects, kill all the permaculturists by poisoning the well, basically, and then their kind can no longer reproduce. So they get to a point where there's about 1,000 of them, is what I'm being told. Not much more than that. They get together and they build a large hadron collider, on the dark side of the moon. So on the dark side of the moon, there is a large hadron collider. And one day, when somebody goes up there and says, hey, there's a large hadron collider here, then it'll prove what I'm saying now. So I'm not worried. The proof is there. You just won't find it till then. Because here's the thing. They're dead. They didn't make it through the Satya Yuga. This is the most difficult part of this, is people don't realize, is the bad energy can't make it now. Cruelty doesn't work the same. That's why everything this year is flippity floppity. It's so weird. Like, hippie parents are now MAGAs. Like, you guys have to understand, forgive them when this is over. This is programming. Please be kind to MAGA when this is over. I beg of you. Could you imagine if we just let the cults have the people that they brainwashed, and we never helped them out of it? You gotta love people through this. Stop being mean and cruel. Stop the division. Stop it. That's what they designed. Let's talk about what they designed. So this is what they designed. So because of what had happened, they wanted to design a system so their elites, they've been helping elites since, I want to say the first sighting was late 1800s. So they've been helping the elites since, what, 1880s, when we rebelled and started wanting some you know what I'm saying? In the 1800s, we were getting workers wanted rights. We started unions. We change was here, and they had to stop that. So let's go back to 2200 BCE. Okay, so I've tracked them back to 2200 BCE, and from my studies and my knowledge, is this all fits in line, especially with us having CERN. So we've got them jumping back to 2200. Now, know this. If they've got the UFOs that, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I don't know anybody's written, I haven't read this or anything, from what I have seen, these saucers being round like a saucer, if you take a magnesium and spin it around the outside with a positive and negative charge, it'll spin, it'll give you anti-gravity. So you can fly and everybody inside can handle it. I think they already know this, but so I see this. I see the machine that they use, and I see them come to the planet, and I see them manipulate the beings that are left over that had forgotten, because every yuga people forget more, and now 2200 breaks the Treta Yuga, begins the Treta Yuga, or was it no? Yeah, no, 2200 begins the Kali Yuga, right? See, they came back to when the Kali Yuga begins, because this is the only time they can get away with what they've done is during the Kali Yuga, which is 4,202 years, 200, 4,200. Okay, 42, yeah, 4220, 4220. So you've got the Treta Yuga ends, and the beginning of the Sati Yuga, or the beginning of the Kali Yuga, you have the ending of the Old Kingdom, because they've come in now, and this is where Abraham is an alien. It would make sense, because Abraham lives longer than anybody else, because at this point life is only 100 years. It's not as long as what they say, but because you've got elites that know and have technology and remember what they can do, they're manipulating everything. That's why there's 3 junctions of the Abraham, so he could create war. There is no, just think, how in the hell would Abraham be okay with their people fighting? No, we did not fight. This is not natural. This is not normal. This is taught. This is programmed. This is the illusion. This is Kali Yuga. If it wasn't the elites that did this, it would have been something. Do you understand this? Something has to cause this, because Kali Yuga had to happen. And this is where we forget the most. We don't have any abilities. And see what I'm saying? So the whole point is that you've got the beings coming back, the burning bush, the all the miracles, everything makes sense, because that stuff is not natural. So they had to put unnatural presence in here in order to control you with fear. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. I hate doing this because I hate to be the one that say religion is a lie, but it is. But here's the clue. If you take all the writings, all the religious writings, and the occult writings, put them all together, put them through a big love filter, and the loving message is in there. But I'll tell you, it took me 2 years to read it all. Yeah, audiobooks. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on audiobooks. Woo-hoo-hoo. And a lot of time listening, because I have to listen to them 3 times because of my comprehension disorder. The 3rd time is like, okay, it's this. You have to understand the secret teachings of all times from Manning is a good summary. But I would suggest, if you're going to read that, if something resonates in a certain tribe or something, take it, write it down who they were, and go investigate them. They probably resonate with you the best. Because here's the truth. We are all different. Everybody has their own truth. Yeah, my dog is underneath here just messing with my wires, and I'm waiting for him to just knock something over. Okay, Mickey, please. There you go. Lay down. Hey. Nope, we got another spin. Oh, we're digging. All right, come on, butt down, baby. He's knocking my like holding on to stuff, making sure he doesn't knock it over. Sorry, doggy interference. Okay, he's down. Okay. Okay, so what I'm explaining here is that The religions are designed to keep you out of the occult because the occult fills in the gaps. And it also shows you how bad religion is. And then, now don't go after the dark occult because, of course, that's going to be negative. You want to find the positive because the truth of the matter is everything out there is negative and positive. It is our duty to only allow the positive and deny the negative. Do not allow them to do this to you. If you're watching something and it makes you feel something, walk away from it. Don't let music or anything you hear, because just like everything you eat affects your body, everything you hear affects your mind. That's a fact. Even though you think you're not paying attention, it's still going into the subconscious. And the subconscious is not intelligent, does not have discernment, does not know the difference between right and wrong. You need to know this. Your subconscious is a justifier. Okay? So your subconscious works against you because your subconscious is where all knowledge dumps. It all goes there. Regardless if you realize it or not, it goes there. See, and these elites know this. And when they jump back in time, they know that people have forgotten this. But now coming up, the next generation, children born after March 21st, they're going to be born with memories. You're going to see a lot more what you consider prodigies. They're not really prodigies. They're being born with memory. And just like alphas and Zmers, nobody can handle the cruelty. I'm sorry, but I am sickened by Saturday Night Live, SNL, making fun of a mom who's all excited about being emancipated. What? No. You know, you should have the love to be able to be screamed and yelled at and cursed at and still love your child and not walk away from it and not be tired of it and not be excited that they cut you out. This whole going no contact, that's on both sides. But I'm sorry, parents, where's your love? I'm sorry, but millennials, if you went and did what boomers did and ignored your parents, Gen X parents who tried to give you some kind of fairness and understanding and love, and you went all alpha male boomer on us, or fembot female boomer, I'm sorry, but if you're a feminist, you're a fembot. You guys did it wrong. You did not inject sisterly love into the corporate world. You just became men. That's a fembot. It doesn't work. None of this works. The programming is changing. The future children are changing. My videos, nobody's watching right now because nobody cares. But the future kids, you guys are going to have this proof and you're going to come back. Yeah, this woman in 2026 was screaming. The woman who screams that there's these elites that are the grays, yes. But they're not 47,000 or 52,000. It's actually 45, 46,000, because we're in 42,200. So whatever 3,500 AD would be, what is that, like, let's say 1,500 years from now. So that would be 43,500 type shit, or 43,700, whatever. I mean, we're still in the 40,000s is what I'm trying to tell you. We're still 42,200. That's this year. But the year began March 21st on the spring equinox. The year is also 13 months. There's also 13 zodiacs. You have 17 dimensions and the 17 clusters, universal clusters. That's also within us. If you go to UK, the 17 DNA that identifies a human body, there's your identifiers. That's the 16 dimensions. And then gender would be whatever, when you landed in matter, what did you come as? Male or female? That's all there is. So you have to see, as crazy ranting as I sound, I know the proof is there. Some whistleblower from CERN said CERN came up with 17 dimensions, because there is, because that's what there is. I've been saying that now since 2024, 2 years now. So, and I've been talking about the elite jump, the time jump. And the reason why everybody's trying to run up there to the moon is because they want, but the problem is every time they go and jump and I am not in focus. I'm sorry about my camera. I can't stop moving. It's who I am. But and this is a Logitech. This is a nice one too. I don't know why it's being that way. But so the point is that you will have to understand that unconditional love, it's the law. And unconditional love for yourself, forgiving for yourself. Um, it's hard. I know. I live in Traumaville myself with my body. I'm okay. I'm calm. I'm fine. But my body's not. And if you are accepting your body and lashing out at people because of your pain or because your nervous system's just like all the time, that's not right. You need to learn to deal with it. If you got to smoke a lot of pot to calm that body down if you've been CPTSD. That trauma ain't right, but you don't need to relive it because your body is. Do things for your body. Be good to you. Don't watch things or listen to things that will trigger you. That was a tough one for me because I liked true crime, which is ridiculous when you're full of trauma. Why do we do that? Because we're programmed to stay in the comfort. Being outside of it because our body wants to say, "Oh yeah, look, it's worse for them than it was us." But that's not right either because you're still reliving the trauma. So you're keeping your subconscious in that trauma loop, and we got to get out of that. So if you're claiming to be a victim, you're in a trauma loop. If you're claiming to be a survivor, you're in a trauma loop. We're not trying to survive this. We need to forgive this, grow, and move on because there's other things to do in life. There really is. And there will come a time and place when you will be okay with your body alone. I'm not there yet, but I have faith that we can get there. Yes, my body's been through hell, but that's what happens. It's okay. I signed up for it. I'm okay with it. I've forgiven them all. I will only hope that they can figure out how to forgive themselves so they can grow and they don't die with this. Because that's the worst thing ever is dying dense. Because if you die dense, then you're dense in the continuum, and then it's really hard to reincarnate again. And by the time you do again, you're going to have disabilities because when you die not learning your lessons and not being a loving human being, then you will be reincarnated with those lessons on top of these. And I hate to be the one to say this, but that's what brings in the disabilities because we have too many people dying cruel. When they come back, they've got to take these on. So if you know anybody with severe autism, like not being able to walk or talk, understand that if that's your child, you're an archangel and you're here to help that being learn how to be human again. Because there's either beings that are being reformatted, or when a being moves on, a new being that's worked its way up through the thing and finally gets a soul to be human, they don't know how to be human, especially if they were just an ant or a bug or and then a bird. How are they even going to consider humanity and humans? So we have to take this into consideration. I really want to see a world where I'm trying to develop a chassis system that a somebody with cerebral palsy could get into a vest, click the vest, and then click the leg cuffs, and then click to a tripod, and it pick them up and take them to the bathroom, and let them go to the bathroom, let them get a shower. Do you understand the importance of giving them some type of independence, not to mention taking the back-breaking work off of the parents? This is not that big of a deal. In fact, there's so many of these manufacturing companies that have gone down that you can recycle what they've got. We can recycle materials, build stuff for cerebral palsy. You need to get prepared because I'm going to say this. By 2035 to 2040, 1 in 5 are going to be autistic with a disability to walk. I'm sorry. Don't kill me. I've known this for a couple weeks, and this is why I haven't made a video, because this is the video they want me to make, and I don't want to make this. I don't want to say this, but I have to. So here we go. I've said it. If you die with lessons that could only be learned on Earth, you're going to have them stacked on top of the next learning cycle. And you're always going to have a severe amount of learning things because that is our purpose on Earth. We become angels in order to become archangels or above. Now, some of us are here as archangels because we're here to help. That's what we're here to do. These are the ones like us that can bring in the information for you. But everybody else that are all angels, and the future children coming in will be archangels. We do have another group of human beings. I've spoken with them before, inner earth beings. Um, and inner earth beings are not interdimensional beings. Okay. I know that they're trying to say they are. Okay. So here's how it works there is a group of beings in inner earth that their densities make it impossible for them to come to crust. Okay. Now, however, if you've got the right frequency and the right vibration and the right pressurized system, you can build a portal to bring them in to your area, but they can't walk the planet because they wouldn't be able to leave the containment device that they've done. So if anybody talks of seeing interdimensional beings, they're not interdimensional, they're inner earth beings, okay? The other 16 dimensions, the only beings that actually will morph into reality here to do something for something and morph out will be Sasquatch and Mantis. But that's, you are not seeing them. You're seeing an energy resolution that bleeds through the veil. Do you understand that? That's why you can't get a picture of them. They're there. They're in front of your face. You're like, I can touch that, but you can't because it's energy. Everybody's missing the whole point here. This is not, we're not solid. We're solid because we think we're solid. Okay? We're energy. And when oh, I knew these things were going to get me hot. Oh, these freaking, these lights. Okay? So you've got a lot going on. You've got energy sources that are doing their duties within our area and mostly in the woods and where people aren't, because that's how energies manifest. Is how it works. You can manifest energies. You can create ghosts. You can create anomalies. You can. This is how this works. If you're convinced hard enough and you believe hard enough, you can make things happen. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. But it's you. It's you. It's nobody else. Because the energies in the continuum have a line they can't cross. They have to be benevolent and unconditional to assist us. So anytime anybody says evil, negative, that's manifested from free will only. Here, humans on the 17th or the first dimension, because the other 16 are feeding us. But if you're feeding negativity into those, well, then they're going to feed back negativity. If you feed the positivity and love into it, they're going to feed positivity and love back into it. Unless you're somebody here to teach, then the world's always going to be against you, which is okay. But that's just for me, nobody else. No such thing as a martyr. No such thing as the one. No. I know, because I am. And I'm going to tell you what they say the one. No, not how it works. We're all energy. It's about energy. Do you understand that? Energy. I know. My SK keeps showing here. This means silent key. My dad's call letters are on my arm. So I put SK just in case anybody else gets the call letters. Don't want them to think I'm related to them. So that's what that is, silent key. Just in case anybody was wondering. That would be something that would bother me on a video. Like, what is those letters for? So you've got beings that came back from 3500, but they have now passed. As of March 21st, 2026, the last one said goodbye to me on the moon as their soul went to the continuum. Um, so if you wonder why is everybody wanting to go to the moon? Because they all want to get a hold of that technology, because that's 3500 AD technology that's been kept from us. But here's the deal. We're not allowed this stuff. So there's no way the sun's going to let you get to that side of the moon. I'm just going to tell you. Just put it out there now. The energies aren't going to let it happen. It's not going to happen. It does happen when we are in the middle of Satya Yuga, which Satya Yuga is 16,880. So about 8,000 years from now, we will be on the moon and clean it up with pure love to clean it, fix it. Because of what they did, we start having problems with the moon. Okay? Yeah. This is how this works. And then, of course, something catastrophic will happen at 16,000. So if you take, let's do some math. If you take, okay, let's not do that there. 16,880 plus, let's use our 2026 so people can see it this way. So in 18,906 AD will be the time we'll be at the moon to clean up CERN, or the Large Hadron Collider, which is massively bigger than what CERN is, just to tell you. And then we're in 42,200, and you add the 16,880, and if everybody goes by the real calendar, we're talking 59,080. So yeah. And I would prefer if you guys would go back to the beginning. Okay. So humankind started 45,000 BCE. But for 5,000 years, that body took a while to fail because that body was built differently. But it was built big, 9 to 13 feet, very large. And so a lot of work had to be done with DNA, and then they had to work on reproduction. And because the thing people don't understand is when the Lumerians walked down the spiral, you had eight different galaxies here. And these 8 different galaxies had to deal with a terrestrial body, which was complicated. So it took 5,000 years to get the body figured out completely. I mean, for a while there, they would shed the bodies and then the light body would go up and then they would come back down. But then they got to a point where they hit an area where when a body died, the soul didn't go back into Lemuria. You didn't go back into lower Earth orbit. And so when that happened, they kind of tripped balls, and that's when they realized they had to work on reproduction and on their end. But this is, back around Asclepius days. So reproduction meant spiritual and physical. So physiologically is happening here, but now we've got to bring in somebody outside of our galactic cluster to come in to do this, because everybody in our galactic clusters all got a job. And that's where King Thoth from outside our galactic clusters coming in. Just like when I pass, I will go outside my galactic cluster to another galactic cluster to assist them in whatever they need at that time. So this is how this works. This is our duties. This is their function, is to level up, become a loving, because all of this is about love. You have to understand the whole creation of a universe is love from the all, the source, love. That's why we have children, because we love. And then we love our children. Love is the whole thing. So love should be the law. Period. Love, unconditional love for all beings. seen and unseen, known and unknown, animate and inanimate. That means no eating meat. That means no abusing animals for their milk. It means figuring your shit out, figuring how to live off the land, off of what we do to produce our own. Our hands produce our food. If that's not the way it is, then there's going to be cognitive discernment, because this is our duty and our job as human beings. And it's being stripped of us because we don't have our own farms. And those of you go, I don't want to do a farm. Well, you're like more heavily cognitive dissonance than most others. Those of you think, oh, I'd love to have a farm. Well, you understand the cognitive dissonance. You know you belong with your hands in the ground. We have a duty to tend to earth. We have a duty to build with earth. We used to build with earth. We will again. I'm here to tell you, don't give the children of the future any fucking hard time. They know what they're talking about. Gen Z, Gen A, Gen B, and Gen C are gonna change you. So either get with the program of love now, or you're the ones that are gonna be put away. Because if you're cruel, you have no right. I've lost it with the Elks. You claim to be benevolent, yet you have alcohol. You lie about your volunteer hours. No, you're not benevolent. And anybody who has fraternity, you have no right to put a woman in unless you bring sorority in. Just like if you're a sorority, you have no right to let men in unless you bring fraternity. If you don't keep the words right, words mean something. Fraternal means men. Men have their code. Women have a different code. We are two different types of people. That is a fact. More estrogen, the more we need to be told to be kinder, because the more estrogen, the crueler we can be. The testosterone, the harsher and rougher they can be, so they need to remind themselves to be kinder. This is how this works. And everybody is on the spectrum of it. So really, there is no male, female. But if you identify with the male, then that needs to be where you're at. If you identify with the female. But if you are a female and you identify with the male, you need to be learning your sisterly ways. That is your lesson. It's not to go and hate men and go against men and become a lesbian and live your life never having anything to do with them. That's not right either. And gays, you going and hating women and never having, that's not right. That's not how it is. That's not love. You don't get to be a narcissist. You get to love yourself, but you don't get to love yourself and harm others. You only get to love yourself and make sure you don't harm yourself. But then it's your duty to be kind and considerate about everybody and everything around you at all times. That is your duty. And this is one hell of a daily dose of love. These are getting painful. It was a painful 2 weeks of this information. The stuff about finding out that why people have these really bad autisms. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to hate me because they're going to think that, all these negative things. And you do, which is fine. You may hate it. But when you take a moment and you think about it, you realize just how blessed all these people are. And just what your duty is, if you have one of these children, is to assist the divine in training people to be human. And we need to be training love. And you need to be learning love in everything that's ever happened to you. You have signed up for. Nothing happens that you didn't sign the contract for. So learn to take it with grace, because you told them you could. So they're calling your bluff now. Are you going to be loving? Are you going to be the angel that you were born to be? That's up to you now, babes. I love you. Go love yourself, please.